Fides quorum intellectual. Faith seeking knowledge. For the past few days, the sober American nation, together with sobers all over the world, have been met with astonishment after watching a short video clip trending on social media depicting deplorable conditions, for lack of a better word, of certain areas of St. Joseph's College campus. It is for that reason that this network reached out to Dr. Forte, the president of Sober American Nation, for an up-close and frank discussions about the situation in the campus in an attempt to contribute to the way forward. Please don't go away. Welcome. Today in our Maryland studio we have Dr. Forte. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for honoring the short notice of our invitation.
My pleasure. This is important. I had to be here.
Let's get the cat out of the bag, Dr. Forte. What is your honest assessment of the video?
Quite frankly, it sucks. I mean, it's terrible. You know, it doesn't reflect the Sasse College that we know. It doesn't reflect the Sasse College that we want. And there's no sugarcoating. It is a very disturbing video, and but it's also worth knowing that it doesn't necessarily reflect, the current conditions in the entire campus.
We'll get to that. What would you say to students, parents, and community members who are outraged?
Well, I think that the outrage is clearly warranted. I think that anybody who cares about Sasse, anybody who cares about those kids, wouldn't want to see those images. And I can tell you that I share that sentiment. I can tell you that President General York shares that sentiment. And I can tell you that Proprietor Bishop Bibi and Principal Fernando can both share that sentiment, because we all want the same thing for Sasse. Wanted to get back to where it's supposed to be, at the top of the pinnacle.
So what steps have been taken to ensure that no country ever looks like that again?
That's a good question. And I can tell you that one of the very first things that I did when I saw the video was reach out to Bishop Bibi, reach out to Federal Nation, reach out to President General York, so that we can ask difficult questions and that we can put our heads together and find solutions. And I can tell you that they all take this very seriously. That the school authorities, are working hard to find ways, to prevent this. Looking at, policies, things that could have contributed to this, and to see how that can be fixed. I know President General, you had a meeting with the bishop and the principal, I believe 2 days ago, to address this issue. So they're listening and they're working on it.
Why are one student grouped in one dormitory in the first place?
That's a good question, and I can tell you that the reason why this was done, and this has been going on for a few years now, my understanding is that it was as a way to try to help protect those kids from the bullying, from the senior students. And when you and I were in Sasse, we shared the same dorm from 1 through from 5, right? And there were good things, that, the mentorship, but there were also bad things, lots of bullying, kids, things being taken. And so the authorities a few years ago made a decision to separate the Form 1 students from the rest of those senior students, to protect them, and that's where we are today.
You attempt to address one situation while creating just another problem.
Exactly. But I can tell you that, at least based on our initial feedback from the authorities now, I think this seriously, and they're looking at ways, what policies need to be changed, what processes need to be put in place to, to achieve both goals.
Will you say this is an isolated problem or a general infrastructure problem?
Well, I wouldn't call it, a general infrastructure problem necessarily, because once again, it doesn't reflect the whole school. But at the same time, I would not call it an isolated problem, because it is a problem. And a school that has been in existence since 1939, that has for decades not had the infrastructure care that it deserves, clearly would have infrastructure problems, and it does. So there's no sugarcoating this. There are real issues that need to be addressed, and those are questions that we've been discussing even before this incident. Like I said, back in the summer when Bishop Beebe, we invited Bishop Beebe to our home, for a nice dinner in his honor, but we also had a meeting with the NLT, and we had frank conversations about the way forward. And his commitment was pretty clear. And infrastructure maintenance is an issue, has been at the forefront of Sobern's, what's the word to use, discontent for years, right, with previous administrations. And so we took that head on, and he made the commitment to ensure that 25% of net revenue from proceeds from Sasse stay in Sasse for maintenance. This is new. This was new. This was not the policy before. And that's a good first step in beginning to solve these problems long term.
Is there a plan in place to ensure stricter hygienic practices?
That's a great question, and that's one of the things that the authorities are looking at, trying to figure out how they can, what needs to be done, because clearly nobody wants to see this again.
Before this video, did you know about all this about the college?
Well, I can tell you, of course, talking to Sobans all across South American nation, it's clear that there are issues and concerns from Sobans who have kids and Sasse. So yes, I was aware that there are problems, and I've had conversations with the principal, I've had conversations with President General Eoc, I've had conversations with the proprietor, putting our heads together to find lasting solutions to these problems. The commitment that I just told you earlier is one of the ways. But another thing that the bishop agreed to when we had our meeting back in the summer was the creation of a Sasse Heritage Foundation Heritage Board, which will oversee infrastructural projects, but also serve as an advisory and kind of, I don't want to say supervisory, but oversight, over the authority, ensure that the authorities are meeting their own end of the bargain in terms of maintenance of the school. So having that will give Sobans a little bit more say, more skin in the game, which is something that's important to Sobans, so that to ensure that, when they donate money to the school, it's being used appropriately for the right thing. And so these are awesome things that have been put in place long before this video.
Can you look at Sobans? Can you look at them and tell them that we are putting plans in place to ensure that they never see such videos again?
Well, I can't make any promises, right? Because I don't run the school. But I can tell you this. I can look at Sobans and tell them that we have a partner in the proprietor, Bishop Beebe, who believes and cares about Sasse. And I'm saying this because his actions in the 2 or 3 short years that he's been in charge, speak for themselves. He wanted to make sure that students get back to school after 3 years of a campus that was abandoned due to the current iPhone crisis. And he did a lot of innovative work, made sure the refectory, the main block, some of the dormitories, make sure that they were habitable. He was very concerned about the safety of the students and make sure that build the fence, around. So clearly, he has demonstrated, or he is demonstrating that he truly cares about Sasse. And so I can tell servants that we need to work together. We need to put our heads together, help the school, but it's also important, and I want to make this point very clear, that we hold the authorities accountable to make sure that what we expect is happening. And that's what President General Ayok and I are committed to doing. We will partner with them, we will work together as a team for the common good, but we'll also hold them accountable because that's the right thing to do. And Bishop welcomes that.
So what will you say to servants who are worried about donating to Sasse because they believe the diocese is not spending tuition in a way which will improve infrastructure on campus and the quality of life of students?
Well, I'll say a number of things. Number one, there's clearly a difference, between the current proprietor and what was known in the past. Like I said earlier, the bishop has committed to ensuring that 25% of net revenue stays in the school for maintenance. That is a good first step. That is something that was not there before. The bishop is committed to the President General and SOBA creating this heritage board, which will be comprised of not just SOBA but other stakeholders, right, of the school to ensure that projects are carried out appropriately and to kind of have some kind of oversight to ensure that they're held accountable to keeping the end of the bargain. That's a good thing. So I think that it's important for servants to ask themselves, what's been done? What mechanisms do we have in place, or are we putting in place to ensure that these issues are being addressed? And this is some of the things I've talked about. And when the school's GC results came back very poorly, just recently, one of the first things that the bishop did was, he went to Sasse, met with the principal, met with stakeholders, President General was there, I think the PTA president was there, and they came up with specific action plan items to try to help turn things around. This shows that they get it. This shows that they care. And I think that as servants, it's important that we work together as a team to try to get Sasse back to where it's supposed to be. It's going to be a process. And I think patience is key here. As much as we want to see change instantly, we have to also understand that some of these things take time. And pictures, videos like this are hurtful, that is true. We need to point out the negative, absolutely, right? When we see that, but we also need to acknowledge the positive and work together to hopefully get rid of all those negatives so that Sasse College can get back to where it's supposed to be at the top.
Why should servants and parents trust the bishop's plan?
Simple reason. He has proven that he cares. He has proven that in action, in the things I just listed, and so that's enough reason to trust him, and I think that we cannot, I think the mistake that a lot of us make, out of the emotion, and you can't blame anybody. I mean, we're all connected, we have a soft spot for Sasse, and it hurts when we see something like this, but we also cannot hold the bishop responsible for what others in the past have done, right? We need to look at where we are today and see where we're going, and then hold him responsible moving forward, accountable. And that's what we should do, and that's what we're doing. That's what, President General Ayok and I are committed, to continue to have these discussions, continue to have these conversations, so that together as a team, we can move Sasse forward.
Let's talk again about this young from two students.
Mm-hmm.
What can be done? Has the leadership considered outsourcing some of the housekeeping responsibilities to ensure better hygienic conditions for these children?
Well, I can tell you that right now they're looking at possible solutions. The leadership is looking at what can be done. I'm sure outsourcing is something that would be considered. I don't know for a fact what will be done in the end. You have to also look at costs, you know. And it's important to know that Sasse doesn't have 1,000 students like they used to have. You know, after the kids left campus, you know, right now the enrollment is, I think, barely 300-ish, you know. So there's a lot of work that's been done around trying to get people comfortable again, you know, to get to Sasse. Obviously this video doesn't help that cause, but it only puts more, what's the word to use, pressure or urgency, you know, to fixing these issues. And I can tell you that the authorities are very well aware. The bishop made some changes at the beginning of the school here, leadership changes, because he saw that there was a problem. And he brought in a very experienced principal who has had success, and we're called for the Isaac and Newcomb, you know, to help put pieces in place, you know, to make sure that things get better. And this is some of the things that you can't see necessarily on a day-to-day basis, but it's important that students understand that their voices are heard. The voices are being heard, work is being done, and with some patience and teamwork, I'm confident that we'll see the results.
I can see you feel very highly of this bishop.
I do, because he has demonstrated that he means what he says, he's a man of his word, and he's shown that in his deeds. It's there for us to see. And I've shared these in my monthly messages with Sobans, you know, when work stuff is happening, work is being done, you know, decisions are being made. I've shared them with Sobans. Hopefully, Sobans can also see that we have a partner in the bishop.
Any final thoughts?
Sure. I just want fellow Sobans to know that your voices are heard, your concerns are valid. Sasse is not what it needs to be. But I also want you to know that the principal, the authorities, the proprietor, Bishop Bibi, cares very much about Sasse. And together, we can work to get Sasse to where it needs to be that shining light on the top of the hill. But it would take commitment, it would take engagement from us all, because we share common heritage. You know, our DNA, our blood goes through Sasse. Sasse flows in us. And so, while it's important to point out the negatives and be critical, because that's important, it is also important to be part of the solution, right? Because it's all teamwork. Teamwork, like I always say, teamwork makes the dream work. I'm confident that there's nothing, when someone's put their minds together, there's nothing that's above us. We can do this. We're few, we're proud, we're different for a reason. We are servants who will work together and get Sasse back to where it's supposed to be. I think we can do it. I think this is the time for us to work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We really do appreciate the short notice and you made availing yourself for the special edition of Sober American News.
Thank you. I'm here to serve. Anything I can do, you know, to make sure that we're all headed in the right direction, that's why I'm here. And I thank you so much for having me.
Sober America TV did some fact-finding into President Foto's assertion that school authorities have indeed made significant investment in infrastructure and renovations of the campus to get it ready for students. Indeed, significant work was done to remodel the refectory, main block, and dorms, including St. Kitts dorm, which is the subject of the infamous viral video. Several classes have also provided assistance as the process of remodeling SJC continues. The 1971 class in February remodeled the kitchen. Sober President General, President Ayuk Pride Iyok, formally launched the fundraising portion of SJC Sasse Road project at an event in Limbe, Cameroon on August 25, 2021, and construction is in progress. During the fundraiser, President Iyok stressed the importance of proper access to SJC Sasse. He noted that the current state of the road of honoring Pa Ferdinand Gando for his work and his influence on the lives of thousands of souls came up. We felt it was important to do something that would be meaningful to him. We reached out to Pangando and discussed this idea. Pangando made it clear in several conversations that he wanted a project with a physical presence in his honor that will also serve the students of SJC Sasse. The Assembly Hall project was conceived. On October 14, 2020, Soba America presented a gift of a new sick bay to St. Joseph's College, Sasse, during a ceremony on the campus.
So on behalf of Soba America and all the stakeholders, we want to officially hand the keys of the sick bay to you, Father, and we hope that the school administration would make good use of it for our children. So thank you very much.
Indeed, we're going to make it. Thank you.
The newly completed sick bay building was handed over during a ribbon cutting ceremony. Bishop Michael Baby was represented by the Chancellor of the Diocese of Boya, Soban Reverend Father Emmanuel Gwese A. Pierre. On August 5, 2020, Soba America presented a gift of a state-of-the-art band and orchestra to St. Joseph's College, Sasse, during a ceremony on the campus. The gift comprised of over 70 pieces of professional-grade band and orchestra equipment and a 75-piece set of band uniforms. They were presented to the principal at the time, Father Armstrong Ndi, by Soba America President Emeritus Mafani Itoy. Several students were also present to witness the event. The borehole by Soba Dallas in 2016 and the collaborative use by the 1980 class in the water distribution project is one way Soba should stay encouraged and stay the course in transforming their alma mater to a modern-day institute of learning. We can continue to state many more examples. Whether we like it or not, the political conflict in the region will continue to have an impact on not only the school infrastructure, but other key indicators used by students, parents, and other community members in evaluating an effective and efficient running of a school like Sasse College. With the mindset of the new bishop and proprietor, students are presented with a unique opportunity to make meaningful changes to last another generation. It is an undisputable fact that the political conflict in the region will continue to have an impact on not only the school infrastructure, but on other key indicators used by students, parents, stakeholders, and other community members in evaluating an effective and efficient running of a school like Sasse. With the mindset of the new proprietor, students are presented with a unique opportunity to make meaningful changes that will last a generation. There are obviously some areas on the campus that make us proud, but the obvious side is not surprising to be the one talked about the most. Like Posa and PGE stated in the joint statement yesterday, we have the commitment, the passion, the energy, and the will. The pride of greatness is responsibility. Sir Winston Churchill. Gentlemen, let us get to work. Thank you for watching, and Merry Christmas to you and